Hi, I'm Stephen David Horwich, and I would like to talk to you about how to start your homeschool student using our curriculum. There are a number of things to consider as you begin the process of homeschooling, and assuming you've selected Connect the Thoughts as your curriculum, for which we thank you, I'd like to give you a little bit of an outline of what you need to do to get going. First of all, you should have a space dedicated in your house or wherever you're going to do the homeschool work to the student and to school. It should really, if possible, be isolated for that purpose. Of course, you may have to double a bedroom as school. We understand. I certainly had to do that for a while. But what I found when I was homeschooling my children is that they really did need a space that was very much dedicated just to their schoolwork, where they could have their computers and globes and science paraphernalia and anything that they needed, and that wasn't going to get disturbed or stuff moved around, so that they could just start school at the beginning of the day with their books and whatever they required. So I do recommend that strongly, and I can certainly tell you that if you're doing any of our curriculum from elementary on up, this is not true of starter, but if you're doing elementary, lower school, or upper school, if your student is age 7 or older or fairly literate and you're doing one of those curricula, you will need to provide them a space to do testing in. It will have to be away from their textbooks and their computers so that they can't take a peek, or no globes, no maps. You've got to allow them to do their own thinking when they're doing a test, so you can determine what they did learn and what they didn't learn, and in that way know what to send them back to restudy, which is how we do testing. So you will want to find a space away from wherever they're doing their schoolwork, be it their bedroom or whatever, maybe a living room or a space in your yard, somewhere where they can do their testing that's isolated from their materials. You will need to purchase all the materials you require in order to get through a semester of school, whether it be from Connect the Thoughts or associated related materials that you will need for specific courses that you purchase from us, such as a science book or whatever. Each course tells you exactly what you need on the first page of the course, so if there is anything, you'll see it there. But you will need all of your materials. You will certainly need a math program. Connect the Thoughts does not provide any kind of a math program. If you're interested in math, we do make a recommendation on our site, but we do not provide math. We also do not provide a grammar program. If you need grammar, we are willing to make a recommendation along those lines if you write us to our site and ask for one. We'll give you a recommendation. And the other thing we don't provide in any way, shape, or form is a foreign language program. There are many good foreign language programs that you can do at home. I'm sure if you go on the internet, you'll find a dozen immediately for any language that you're interested in. I can think of a half a dozen off the top of my head. But those, if those are going to be a part of your curriculum for this semester, for your student, you will have to secure those particular things outside of Connect the Thoughts, as we don't provide them. But we do provide core curriculum in history, science, creative writing, and for younger kids, the Living Your Life program. And for older students, we provide many, many electives in the arts, in current events, which you can certainly go to those pages on our site and find out all about them and look at the samples. So you should acquire all your materials. You're going to need a computer to do Connect the Thoughts. It will need to be hooked up to the internet. I fully understand that's an issue for many parents as far as their kids go. If you feel the need to police their exposure to the internet, I can't recommend too strongly that you do exactly that. The internet is a wild and woolly place, as we all know, with things on it that we absolutely do not want our children exposed to. There's no question about it. When I provide links in my courses, I've looked at those links. I've looked at the materials that I'm sending the student to take a look at. I've looked at them from beginning to end, and unless they're altered, they're suitable for children. In the courses, if I have a question mark in my own mind about the suitability of a specific piece of material I'm sending a student to look at, I always indicate that in the courses, usually in red. I'll say, warning, this is questionable material. Please ask your parents to look at it first before you take a look at it. So I have tried to protect the student and the family from exposure to, well, the strangeness of the internet, and I'm sure you know from whence I speak. Anyway, part of your preparation will have to be a working computer with access to the internet and a monitor and all the things that go with a working computer so that the student can actually do their studies. You might want to have a folder for every single subject the student studies so they can date their work and put it in it. Especially if you're homeschooling, you may need to prove to the state or the country that you're living in that A, you are homeschooling, and B, that your student has done the required work. If that is the case, we can't recommend too strongly you keep all their work either in a computer and backed up in a second drive or hard copies in folders. And certainly their tests should be kept in hard copies and folders so you can prove beyond doubt that your student did that work. Now that leads us to the next point. If you're homeschooling, you probably will need to sign your student up with some sort of a program that handles the legalities of homeschooling in your state or in your country. There are countries, of course, that do not allow homeschooling. Currently, as I record this, Germany does not allow homeschooling, which is ridiculous. There are other countries that are questioning it at this time. You are responsible for the legality of your child's homeschooling. If it's legal and you are required to enter into a program or sign documentation to make it legal for your student to homeschool, if you're required to meet, as is the case in the United States in many places, with a master teacher in a public school program once a month to show that teacher what's being studied, you are required to do those things and to keep your legal rudiments in place. So I cannot recommend too strongly to you that you find out what those legal requirements are where you live. They are different everywhere, which is why I can't make any specific recommendations to you, because I can't tell you where you live what the requirements might be. You are going to have to find out. The internet can be a handy tool for that. So can other people who have been homeschooling for a while and who already know what is required. But before you start, before you even buy our curriculum, you really should check on the legality of homeschooling in your area and find out what is required to make sure that you can fulfill those requirements and homeschool safely as far as the state is concerned. Beyond that, on how to start, it varies from course to course and it varies from level to level. What you do to start lower or upper school for Connect the Thoughts is considerably different from what is required of you for starter curriculum or elementary. Starter is for ages 5 and 6, elementary 7 and 8, 5 and 6-year-olds, starters for 5 and 6-year-olds who don't read hardly at all or haven't even begun to read. Elementary is for kids who read a little bit who are age 7 and 8 and are ready to stretch their reading skills and get much better at it. Lower school is for students ages 9 and 10. Upper school is for students ages 11 to adult, and the requirements in lower and upper school from our end are significantly stiffer than in starter and elementary. We have educational basics that we ask the student to do. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done by the student to really be prepared to get into the core curriculum on those levels. We do talk about those requirements on the educational basics page in lower and upper school and recommend you go take a look at that video and those materials. There are also articles on the home page for lower and upper school on how to start. Please take a look at those articles. We also offer free documents that explain how to start Connect the Thoughts, and we can't recommend too strongly that you download them, read through them, take a look at the step-by-step instructions there on how to start, and then of course use your own common sense. Use the steps that make sense to you. Don't use the steps that don't make sense to you, but do fully prepare. Homeschooling, as you know, is a huge commitment to your child. And you are now the teacher, you are now the administrator, and you really must be prepared to deliver. So, we hope that you'll look at our curriculum and the samples throughout it and download some of the free materials that will help you get started. We hope you'll read the articles on the home page in each section of elementary, starter, lower school, and upper school. There's a how to start article on the, I think it's the right-hand column, right at the top of each page that explains how to get going. Please use the resources we make available to you to make your life easier. Check on the legal rudiments and enjoy homeschooling. It's a tremendous thrill to be able to develop your own child, your own students, and be the person responsible for that. Thank you very much.